Hello everyone! I've been having an absolute blast live streaming the Shadowlands experience. Especially since so many of you are hanging out in the chat, you're asking questions, you're giving an idea as to what people are curious about. Which means that I've had 3 questions mostly pop up. First of all, what happens when someone dies in the Shadowlands? For us, we keep on going, as it would be a little bit weird, a bit hardcore if it would just be game over every time that we die. Fatescribe Rotal lets us know that there are touchstones in the Shadowlands for spirits that become untethered. I sense the touch of a great power upon you. Despite facing the end of your existence time and again, this force has kept you anchored to the mortal plane. Perhaps devices like this one will keep you anchored to the Shadowlands, should an ill fate befall you. The purpose will decide. The purpose is our way. This might also be connected to a reason for why the gateway opened for us in the Maw. I wouldn't be against the lore reason as to why we can face these massive threats and just keep on going. Now in the case of the residents of the Shadowlands, so the enemies that we slay, their anima, their being, it becomes one with the domain, meaning that it's just game over for them. No more purpose in the afterlife, no more cycles to walk through. It is the end, which does make you wonder why creatures in the Maw, why they don't just give up and go for the permadeath. The second question, that has to do with what broke the Arbiter, and I want to make a more dedicated video on the subject. Right now, I'm leaning towards side the Nephrius, but it could also have been Argus or Sargeras stabbing the world, maybe Xavius, I've heard Ysera mentioned. It's a bit unclear, and I want to gather a bit more information to make a case. Then finally, that third question, and the major subject of this video. Who is the sister of the Winter Queen? What is going on there? Heads up, if you haven't finished Ardenweald yet, it is absolutely amazing how the story in the zone, it builds up and plays out. Please just experience it for yourself and finish questing through Ardenweald before continuing the video. So, we knew that the Winter Queen, she had a sister ever since the beta times. As one of her annoyed voice files, it says,
Do you have a sister, mortal? You are certainly as vexing as mine.
That got the speculation mill going. And now, with the end cutscene for Ardenweald added, we get a few more pieces of the puzzle.
This is of my sister. Why have you brought it to me?
This one is slipping away.
Our duty is grim. Many have been lost. Why would I save her pet?
Those who have dreamed by its side awaken with a joy and peace that whispers of wonder. If she dies, then all that is Emerald dies with her.
The Winter Queen has saved Ysera, the green dragon aspect, from completely withering away. Proclaiming that Ysera is of her sister, why should she save her pets? The Zone of Ardenweald, it's a bit of an odd duck compared to the other domains that we get to party with. All of them, they're aimed at giving you an eternal purpose within the afterlife. And while Ardenweald, it does offer that option as well. You can stay here for as long as you like. It also offers a cycle of rebirth. It has been described as the autumn and winter to the Emerald Dreams spring and summer. So, when a spirit, take for example a wild god like Cenarius, bound to the Emerald Dream, bound by nature, when they die, their spirits, it will end up in Ardenweald, where they take care of it. They use anima, if it's available, to nurture its soul until it's ready to return to the dream, and then potentially return to the domain where they came from. That's why we saw Cenarius make a return during the Cataclysm, even though he was slain during Warcraft 3. That means that there's a connection, a gateway between Ardenweald and the Emerald Dream. So therefore I would argue that if the Winter Queen is the ruler of Ardenweald, then perhaps her sister would be a similar sort, only for the Emerald Dream, which I would imagine could be the domain of life. Those forces are opposite of one another, but they're still part of the great cycle, of the balance that must be maintained. It's not crazy to think that they wouldn't be overly fond of one another because of that duality, and yet they are connected. The Emerald Dream, in turn, is a little bit vague as to what it exactly is, and it has been changed a couple of times over the many years of lore. In the War of the Ancients trilogy, it was like a blueprint, a perfect version of what Azeroth could be. Malfurion, he has walked the dream. He used one of its layers to fight against Ysera and Xavius. The Worgen, they've been locked away within the dream, to then later be summoned back to Azeroth. People of the world, they have been guided into their sleeps, into a dream form, to form an army against the nightmare presence. We partied through bits of it during the Expansion Legion, but we also have some information from the good book, the Warcraft Chronicles. The Emerald Dream is an ethereal realm of spirits and untamed nature that exists alongside the world of Azeroth. When the Titans showed up and brought order to the world of Azeroth, kicked some old god booty and locked them away, they then had the Keepers do their fighting for them. With peace restored, it was time to forge the worlds, to give that slumbering titan inside of it a chance at life. Incredible beings, known as the Keepers, forged the Emerald Dream to act as a map for the evolutionary path of Azeroth's flora and fauna. The two realms are bound as one. As life ebbs and flows across the physical world, the spiritual energies that saturate the Emerald Dream keep pace with it. Some believe Keeper Freya wove the Emerald Dream into being from nothing. Others claim that this strange place had always existed in some form, a dream born from Azeroth's slumbering world soul. It is said that Freya tapped into this realm and molded what would become known as the Emerald Dream as a way to commune with the nascent Titan. She was also the one that has bound the spirits of the wild gods to the dream, so it seems to be a place purely connected to Azeroth. Perhaps it was created by the Keepers, perhaps it has always been there, born from the dream of a Titan spirit and molded into what they needed. Either way, purely for Azeroth. Yet the Shadowlands, they're not just for our little planets. All the souls from all across the Warcraft universe, they end up in the same domain. Some of them are sorted into Ardenweald, so I now wonder if the Emerald Dream is perhaps connected to more worlds than just Azeroth. Then, to bring it to Ysera, her life started as a proto-dragon, but together with Neltharion, Malygos, Alexstrasza and Nosdormu, they stood against the mighty threat of Galagrond and opened up Keeper Tyr's eyes to the idea that Azeroth itself, it could use some more defenders. He and the other Keepers called upon the Titans to empower these proto-dragons and then turn them into the dragons that we know them as today. Freya beseeched the Titan Eonar to bless Alexstrasza's younger sister, the proto-dragon Ysera, with nature's influence. Ysera was charged with keeping watch over the flowering wilds of Azeroth from within the Emerald Dream. Bound to this ethereal realm, she descended into an endless trance and became known thereafter as the Dreamer. You are bound to the waking dream of creation. Nature is your realm, and all things have caught glimpses of the Emerald Dream when they sleep. You see them all, Ysera, and they see you, though they may not know it. Like the Lifebinder, you touch all living beings and sing to them the songs of creation and interconnectedness. All good so far. We've got Ardenweald connected to the dream. Ysera is bound to that domain as the Green Dragon aspects. But then, of course, to the major question, who would be that sister? Who would be the one that we'd consider to keep Ysera as her pet? Going by the empowerment, by the one who turned her into the Green Dragon aspects, you would say something like Keeper Freya or the Titan Eonar. But if we go by the idea that the Emerald Dream existed before the Keeper's influence, then perhaps we're looking at the one responsible for creating the Emerald Dream. This could truly be the Titan spirit slumbering inside of Azeroth, or it could be Elune, or perhaps they are actually one and the same. So Elune, what is Elune? Well, Elune is a mysterious entity, one of the mysteries remaining to be revealed in the Warcraft lore. I have a whole video dedicated on the subject as to who or what Elune possibly is. Short and sweet, we do not know. Around 15,000 to 10,000 years before the Dark Portal opened up, we saw the Dark Trolls that lived in the caverns beneath Mount Hyjal. They largely ignored what the other tribes were doing, just longing for a peaceful connection to the natural world. Many of these trolls gradually migrated towards the center of Kalimdor, where they discovered an enormous lake of scintillating energies, a lake that they would later know as the Well of Eternity. Mesmerized by their discovery, the Dark Trolls settled along the well's shores. over generations, the energies that radiated from the lake, it suffused the trolls' flesh and bones, elevating their forms to match their graceful spirits. They transformed into highly intelligent and virtually immortal beings. In time, they abandoned their ancient heritage and traditions. Instead, their mystics began worshipping the moon goddess, which would be Elune, who they believed was bound to the well of eternity itself. They claimed that the deity slumbered within the fountain's depths during the day. The former trolls also discovered the name Kalimdor and other Titanforged words from communing with Elune and investigating strange artifacts scattered around the well's edge. Influenced by this newfound language, they called themselves Kaldori, children of the stars, also known as the Night Elves. Then the demigod Cenarius took an interest in these newcomers at the well shores, believing that they had the potential to become great caretakers of nature. He befriended them and taught them about the natural world, hoping that the Night Elves would strive to live in harmony with the wilds. In turn, the Night Elves would claim that Cenarius was the son of the great white stag Malorn and Elune herself. Fun fact, Ysera actually became his adopted mother, as Elune was missing. They then built a graceful society around the well that had influenced them so very much, with the capital of their small nation called Elundris, or the Eye of Elune, founded at the shores of the Fount of Power. But in time, their peaceful nature lifestyle, it would change, with the whole Queen Ysera and the Liege's business coming into the world. But that is the origin story as to how the Night Elves came to be, and how they started to worship Elune. Keep in mind that this Well of Eternity, it was created by the Titans, or to be more specific, their keepers, as they walked on the world, to cover up a wound that was created by ripping out the old god Ysera. At that location, where their goddess slumbered, a slumbering Titan spirit inside the world, one that might have dreamed up the Emerald Dream itself, they learned about Elune and then changed drastically. They're not the only ones, of course, that worship some form of Elune or acknowledge her existence. To add more merit to the idea of it being Elune that is the sister, we can also look at the way that Ysera died. This was back in Legion, as we were hunting for one of the Titan pillars of creation. These pillars were bestowed upon the keepers by the Titans to aid them with bringing order to the world. We needed them to shut down the gateway at the Tomb of Sargeras. In Val'Sharah, forest molded by the druids to be a reflection of the Emerald Dream, we hunted down the Tears of Elune. Unfortunately, Xavius the Nightmare Lord, he got to them first. He corrupted it with the insidious powers of the Emerald Nightmare. Shot into Ysera, it turned the green dragon aspect into a creature of madness. And at the Temple of Elune, we were forced to put her down, and in her final moments,
my time draws near. I feel her embrace.
The moon reached down to lift her spirit away from the Temple of Elune up into the sky. The position that we see her in our last moments on Azeroth, that is the same position as we see her take on when brought back by the Winter Queen. Left behind for us was a cleansed Tear of Elune. It embodies the dream of what our world could be, and with it, we were able to save the day in the Expansion Legion. So as you can tell, there's a lot of Emerald Dream Elune influences going on here. So if I had to put any money on it, on who this sister is, I would put my money on Elune. Then Elune potentially just being the name of the Titan spirit inside of Azeroth. Keep in mind that the Pillars of Creation, they are named after members of the Pantheon. There's a lot of connections to that slumbering Titan spirit inside of the world and the Emerald Dream. The Titan Pillars, the Chronicles, the origin on how the Night Elves found Elune. There's quite a lot of connections to be made to the slumbering Azeroth Titan. However, there's also a bit of information that just shoots all of this down, but we can't talk about it quite yet. We'll be doing that once it's actually live on the Shadowlands. And at the same time, I kinda hope that Elune is something else entirely, because we kinda already dealt with the Titan story before. I personally hope that Elune is just going to be something spicy and new, like the Winter Queen, only then representing the domain of life rather than the domain of death. But time is going to tell. Keep in mind that this is all speculation, right? We won't know for certain until something shows up and proclaims itself to be your sister. At this point in time, anything goes, so just because I argue towards something, it doesn't mean I'm right. It's just fun to speculate. And by all means, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who do you think could this sister be? Who do you think could this Elune be? Will we see Titan influences or the domain of life? There is so much juicy stuff going on. I've been having so much fun deep diving into the Shadowlands, and I can't wait to do more. But for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one. And until next time, see ya!